Hi, I'm Mr. Lewis, and I love to share wonderful stories of what God has done. Won't you join me today for a story from the Bible? Has anyone ever tried to get you to do something that you knew was wrong? What did you do? Did you do it, or did you stay strong and say no? I have the story of 3 men who were told that they would have to disobey God or be punished. What do you think they did? Let's open our picture book and hear the story. There was a rich and powerful king in the country of Babylon who was named Nebuchadnezzar. He had chosen some of God's people to come to his land and to serve him. 3 of those men were Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. King Neb had a giant gold statue made. Then he gave a command that everyone in the land, including Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, had to worship the statue by bowing down to it when they heard special music playing. Anyone who did not bow down to the statue would be thrown into a blazing, fiery furnace. Not long after King Neb made the rule, everyone heard the special music. It was time to worship the statue. Everyone else bowed down. What would Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego do? They did not bow. They did not worship the statue. They loved God and wanted to obey Him. God had already told His people to never worship anyone or anything besides God. They obeyed God. Other people noticed that Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego did not bow down to worship the statue. When the king found out, he was mad. Nebuchadnezzar brought the brave men to ask them directly, "Is what I hear about you true? Don't you serve my gods? Don't you worship the gold statue I set up?" He reminded them that if they didn't bow down, they would be thrown into a blazing, hot, fiery furnace to die. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were brave. They told the king, "We might be thrown into the blazing furnace, but God can bring us out of it alive. But even if we knew that our God wouldn't save us, we still wouldn't worship the statue." Oh, the king was very, very mad. He ordered the furnace to be heated up even hotter. He then told his strongest soldiers to tie up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and then throw them in the blazing furnace. It was so hot that the fire killed the soldiers who threw them into the furnace. The king thought that he had killed Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, but when King Neb looked into the furnace, he was surprised. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were walking around in the furnace. The fire wasn't hurting them at all. Not only that, but the king did not see 3 men in the fire. He saw 4. He turned to his advisors and asked, "Didn't we tie up 3 men? Didn't we throw 3 men into the fire?" The king knew that someone much more powerful than himself was with the young men. The king shouted, "You who serve the Most High God, come here." Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego came out of the furnace. They were not hurt at all. Not even one tiny hair on their heads was burned. Even though they had been around all that fire, they didn't even smell like smoke. The king learned some amazing things that day. He learned that those young men were special for trusting in their God. They were even willing to be thrown into a furnace instead of worshiping anyone other than him. And the king learned that Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego's God was incredibly powerful. He is the same God who still rules today. And I'm so glad that I can tell you that God is with us in hard things.